creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Welcome to Mek Wi Talk here on Roots 96.1 FM. We have a bit of breaking news coming into us that Richard Hazan, Errol Haynes, will not be returning as a PNP vice president. Thus, Richard Hazan and Mr. Eugene Kelly will not be returning as PNP vice president. And also, the Director of Public Prosecution will voluntarily hand down a bill of indictment on the accused who brutally slay the mother and her four children in Clarendon. As soon as we get some more news, we'll pass it on to you. Welcome to Mek Wi Talk. I'm supposed to have opposition spokesperson and transport, Mr. Mikael Phillips, on. I haven't seen him. I know because of the breaking news is going on within the rank of the People's National Party, while we haven't seen him on as yet. But let's pray and hope the gentleman comes on. Let's pray and hope he comes on. This morning is a very busy morning for us. I see we're in Texas. Oh, Jesus. 46 people were murdered. 46 people were dead. They found them dead, rather, into a trailer between the American and Mexican border. So we don't know what is going on. I mean, they're trying to find out. They're trying to find a driver for the trailer truck. We're going to have more in City News at 12:30 with Owen Brown and Dudley Thompson. This morning is a morning where we are not in the, well, how should I put it? I shouldn't say the frame of mind. But our country is at a part where we're trying to figure out what is next in this country. Before I go to the toll operators and what is going on the toll road, it was brought to my attention last night by the president of the Port Antonio Taxis Association. A young lady where her parents, her mother was brutally murdered by gunmen some time ago. And also her brother was shot. Apparently he was involved in something and, he was shot and ended up sent to prison. She is living in a deplorable condition in Port Antonio, in Portland. And they're seeking help. I have reached out to a very good friend of mine, Miss Webster, and they promised to do something for her. So let's pray and hope that we can get the young lady some help. She's 40-something years old, or she has a child. But if you see where she lives, when the video and the pictures were sent to me, my heart moved. I mean, I am trying to. Can people really live in a condition like this? Hold on for me, please. Can people live in conditions like this? In 21st century Jamaica, A lot of our Jamaicans are going through some rough times. And yet, we have the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade traveling the globe, trying to get, at that time, Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Well, the present Secretary General of the Commonwealth, who returned as Secretary General, said all they do is chat, chat. Well, all they do right now is not only chat, chat. They spend taxpayers' money for nothing at all. So I'm trying to say, you spend all this money. What have we gained from it? I was talking to a very good friend of mine over the weekend. And he said to me, Jeffrey, maybe Jamaica will gain something from her interaction with world leaders or with other leaders of the African continent. Well, let's pray and hope she get it. Let's pray and hope she gets something for Jamaica. She did not become the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. But let's pray and hope she can get something out of all of this. That Jamaica becomes something out of all of this, in the sense of we get some help, because we need some help. And the money that was spent, we need to know how much money was spent. We need to know how much money the goodly lady spend and trying to become Secretary General of the Commonwealth. Under our present constitution, we don't have to wait until they decide to give us the figure. They're supposed to give us the figure right away. They have some ideas, but apparently they don't want to tell us how much money is being spent. No, they're not farm some cock and bull story and tell us something. I don't know. We're still awaiting the arrival of the opposition spokesperson on transport, housing and works, Mr. Mikael Phillips. Sometimes, I think, and I know that there's a developing story going on within the rank of the People's National Party. I'm trying to figure out if the goodly gentleman's still going to come on, because there are so many things that we need to really discuss, and I would love to have him on. There's a video surfacing on social media. The Makuk Pen Main Road in St. Catherine, where a baby, not more than 1 year old, was wandering on the main road. Can these parents be so negligent? The child was wandering along the main road. Is a motorist, I think it's a taxi driver, who stopped and end up, a police vehicle was passing by and stopped the police vehicle, creating a traffic jam on the main road. The child was just under the diapers or nappy. Well, it's not nappy nowadays, it's diapers. So I'm wondering where the parents was. Where the parents was. Because the child just wandered out of the yard like that, out of the home like that, and nobody said that the child came out of the home. My God. There's one on the main road. The Bible cannot be wrong, Cannot be wrong. And will never be wrong. But until these parents realize that, come on, we must love our kids, man. We must take care of our children. We have to take care of children, man. We have to. I see. Okay, here's a good gentleman. We have to take care of kids. We have to take care of kids. And if we don't take care of kids, then who's going to take care of them for us? We have to find a way to really take care of kids. I see where I have my good friend.
Yes,
The
sir.
Honorable Mikael Phillips, Member of
Sir.
Parliament, Opposition Spokesperson on Transport, Housing and Works. Mr. Phillips, welcome to Mek Wi Talk, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But before I let you dive on what we're going to speak about, I just get breaking news that Richard Hassan and Eugene Kelly won't be seeking the VP re-election, sir.
That is for the General Secretary to announce anything, you know. I can only say that I'm offering myself as a vice president.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. There is two questions I have to ask you before we go into the housing that we're going to speak about. I see where you said that, you know, you're calling the toll authority to give a 3 months freeze on the toll rates. Can they do that, sir, under the current contract that we signed with them?
Well, they can give it. They have done it in the past. You know, they in the agreement, anything that the increase that they should get, if it is not approved by the government, then the government will have to then subsidize the increase until it is passed on to the consumer. But I'm sure that, like in the past, their negotiations could be had. I mean, you can do it incrementally. When you look at the North-South Highway, I mean, in some instances, in a Class 2 vehicle, a $1,000 hit one time. Yeah. You know, so, but overall, what we're saying to the government is that the inflationary increases on the consumer, be it food, petrol, building materials, just overall, that there ought to be some consideration on how it is to ease the inflationary effect on each Jamaican. You know, so a man is paying more that would use the highway is paying more at the pumps. Petrol has gone up by 40% since the start of the year. Now you're getting a between 15 to 20% increase on the toll in some instances. You know, just basic survival. I mean, you know, so we understand that a lot of the inflationary effects are not created locally, but we expect the government to lead. I mean, other places, other countries, the big mighty USA, Biden came out saying that he's going to even cap the tax on fuel for a 3-month period, just to at least allow consumers to soften the blow at the pump for those who are using petrol. And the toll road
Mr. Phillips,
yes.
Question. I mean, how is it that the Prime Minister the government of Jamaica cannot do that?
No,
What is stopping them from taking the gas tax off the gas?
It's not a matter of can't, it's a matter of will. And what the Prime Minister and his administration is showing is that they're more concerned about where it is that their Foreign Affairs Minister will work than what is happening on the ground with the Jamaican people. I've said it in the past. The official inflation numbers are about 11%. But if you're able to actually see what is happening out on the ground, it is about between 20 and 25%. That is what consumers are feeling out in the streets. Yeah. So again, I said that what we need is just leadership and decisive leadership, a compassionate leadership in a time like this.
We're speaking to opposition spokesperson on transport, housing and works, Mr. Mikael Phillips. The numbers to call is 876-225-9478 or 876-783-8235. Studio number 876-225-9478 or WhatsApp call only 876-783-8235. Mr. Phillips, with the whole promise that the Minister of Finance promised the bus and taxi drivers this $25,000, why is it that certain category of taxis can't get it, sir?
Well, I, as chairman of the PAC, the Ministry of Transport, we're inviting them to come and sit with us, which they should have. And then the permanent secretary met in a small accident. I mean, he's fine, but he's on some leave right now. So we have asked them to come and sit with us at the PAAC in a couple of weeks. One of the questions that I have asked them for is an update on that same promise that was made. I have seen instances where persons have sent to me where the portal itself is closed. The minister, a few weeks ago, the Transport Authority and the Ministry of Finance had announced that the portal is open, where they said that only 17,000 operators would benefit from this. And my understanding is that those within the KMTR, the Hackney carriage operators, are not qualified to benefit from it. It is a bit confusing for me because they are part of the sector itself. They are operators within the industry. So if you are to calculate the amount of monies that would be spent, it is less than the $600 million that has been proposed to be spent in helping these operators. But the time frame that it has always also taken is a little bit baffling to me, because by the time that the operators get these monies, the increase in petrol, it basically will, instead of doing 3 trips or three days of petrol for them, it's probably a day and a half now. So, again, in instances like this is time sensitive, and the government has not shown the resolve that they have the concern of the operators, and more just a PR tactics in what they use to announce it and not make it happen in a short space of time.
I think I have a call in line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Mek Wi Talk.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask Mr. Phillips something.
Go ahead.
Why the government don't care about the PPV sector? Because the PPV sector use the most gas in Jamaica. And every Thursday, we go to the pump, $3, $4, go up on it. I have nobody to talk to. You cannot talk to nobody. It is about the 3rd time now, them say them going to give a PPV sector money. And each time when you're going to apply for it, or you say time is up, your TRN wrong, all these things, and nobody get no money. So I'm wondering if it's a scapegoat when government want to take some money out of something and use it somewhere else, them come up with some scamming and give us some trick like Anansi and Brother Tukuman thing. So I'm wondering why government doing this. And if Mr. Phillips turn the next, if PMP turn the next government in the next term, if PMP turn the next government, what is it them plan towards it? Because we don't want Brother Tukuman and Brother Anansi. You understand? Plans.
Let me answer now. Let Mr. Phillips answer the question now, sir.
Well, one of the things that I'm sure about, the difference that we would do as a PMP administration, is to treat the sector as a business, as that they are investors like any other sector. Same with the BPO sector, the tourism sector. Treat each individual as an investor investing in the economy. That is the first thing. The second is that when I looked at the numbers of persons who benefited even with the COVID relief, it was, I mean, the information I have is only about 20% of operators that actually benefited. And what end up happening is that it tends to be like a moving target for the government. So them say you want a TRN and you get a TRN, something wrong with it. Then them say they want to see your tax receipt of taxes that you have paid. Then they move the goalpost again. So persons got frustrated and just did not apply for it. That is why we as a party, we said to the government, look, cap the tax at $67.50. That is what the budget was predicated on. Cap it at that so that consumers pay less at the pump. Because you have to remember now, the ad valorem tax, each time that the petrol goes up, government collects more in revenue from the ad valorem tax. Where the SCT is a fixed number, the ad valorem tax is fluid. It moves with the price of fuel. So cap the ad valorem tax at the $67.50. Give the consumers their excuse that the Minister of Finance has given us in Parliament is that, look, all right, I cap it at $67.50, but it's not only taxman them going to benefit. People from Upper St. Andrew going to benefit. Look here, from you're a Jamaican, it shouldn't be that you're rich or poor. Everybody has to pay the same price at the pump. So if you look at the cost now, a lot of small business people is they're being hurt by the increase in fuel because they can't move their prices of delivery and everything as the fuel moves. So you have to take a more holistic look, my brother. But again, let me say this to you. It is my firm belief, I mean, no disrespect to the current Minister of Transport, but it is my firm belief that this administration doesn't treat the public transport sector with any importance at all. And that is why you're seeing what you're seeing now in the sector. That is why that they can take 4 or 5 months from what, March, April, May, June, and going into July, so going into 4 months now, that they made a commitment to the public transport operators, and they still can't get the benefit of the $25,000.
But Mr. Phillips, news coming into me has brought to my attention that the current Minister of Transport, Mining, has not met with the management of the Transport Authority. It is also brought to my attention that the Transport Authority Board has been dissolved. Are you aware of that, sir? Mr. Phillips?
No, I haven't gotten any report as such about the dissolving of the board. But, you know, I find I issued a statement last week, Monday, because it was really surprising to me that after 3 days of demonstration from those in the workers in the Transport Authority, then you saw Hackney Carriage Association making their own public statement. You know, it was a little bit disappointing that, and it just shows a lack of leadership in the government, that the minister did not intervene. I don't think that the statement from the chairman had helped the situation any at all. But once you see those taxi operators siding with the staff of the Transport Authority, because most times they are on 2 different sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw them coming together to say that this man, we could at least have a conversation. Then the government should have jumped in and brought the thing together. I'm not saying that they have to keep him on board, but at least stop the disruption that was taking place with the Transport Authority. You're losing revenue. On top of it, you're the regulator. You are the main and only regulator for the transport sector. Not only public transport. You're talking about the trucks and CMC plates. Heavy hauling. So there was a lack of foresight on the part of the government. It's disappointing. I mean, just the news that you're getting, I will do my own research. I haven't gotten any information as such as yet, but it was a bit disappointing to see that the government just allowed it to run the route that it did without any leadership and intervention.
We're going to take a quick commercial break here on Mek Wi Talk. We're speaking to opposition spokesperson on transport, housing and works, Mr. Mikael Phillips. We'll be right back here on Mek Wi Talk.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, I'm Marcia.
I'm Adrian.
Join us this and every Wednesday morning for Extraordinary Abilities on Roots 96.1 FM. Join us for news, views, and interviews with extraordinary people. Extraordinary Abilities every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your extraordinary radio station, Roots 96.1 FM. It's gonna be fun, informative, and educational, but most of all, it will be extraordinary. Extraordinary.
I'm here to say, yo, Pure Talent Show every Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. I don't know, so you need to tune in on Roots FM, hosted by Digital Kim. Share the baddest on this show, Talent Spotlight, for the new upcoming artists. So people, listen now. Sponsored by Coconut Juice Production and Possible Pieces. Also, business advertisement and more. Tune in, Pure Talent Show. No Joe. You don't know Sardine no J. Rep. Oh, Digital Kim. The baddest Pure Talent Show, mad.
St. Andrews South, St. Andrews South. Do you want to know what the police is doing for you in serving and protecting you, our valued residents? Then tune in to the St. Andrews South Beats this and every Thursday, 11 a.m. right here on Roots 96.1 FM. Join Commanding Officer Superintendent Kirk Ricketts and the dedicated officers at the St. Andrews South Police who will facilitate your questions and inquiries. That's the St. Andrews South Beat this and every Thursday, 11 a.m. on Roots 96.1 FM, voice of the inner city.
Welcome back to Mek Wi Talk here. Welcome to Mek Wi Talk here. Welcome back to Mek Wi Talk on Roots 96.1 FM. We am seeing a little item of news just in. One of the three persons named of person's interest in connection with the death of Daniel Nelson has turned himself into the police. It is that an incident happened some time ago yesterday in Delman Town where a young lady was brutally murdered and leaving her baby. What is going on in this country? Sometimes I wonder what is next. You get up every day, hear something different. The security of this country is out of whack. And when you have a government that can't secure its own people, something is fundamentally wrong somewhere. When you call for the Minister of National Security to come on and speak about the issues, they don't want to come on, but they go on the select radio station that they want to go on. Anyway, make a behave myself this morning. Mr. Phillips, welcome back to Mek Wi Talk, sir.
Thank you. I'm here.
You came on to speak about housing, and yet we're diverging from the housing to what is going on at the transport sector. It was brought to my attention also, and I don't want to, there are certain things I don't want to come on here with. That some victimization is going on over the Transport Authority, where you have people applying for positions that is being advertised with internally, and persons have degrees upon degrees, and they're overlooked. At one point, an individual was told that the person is too educated. I don't think that should be going on in an organization in this country, Mr. Phillips.
Agree, but it is symptomatic of how this administration has operated. Just hope that next time around, the country will see, the voters will see what they have been made of and do what is right for Jamaica's sake. But when there are recourses that persons can take whenever they apply for these jobs, and they do not, and they are treated in such manner. And I would encourage persons to take the necessary recourse. It is not coming because, I mean, even though the unemployment numbers are down, there are actually a lot of Jamaicans out there that are seeking employment and can't find it.
Yes.
So it is, we have to wake up as a people. I mean, you speak about the crime situation. It is one that's not only just dealing with the matter of murders, but we just need a total culture change in how we deal with each other as Jamaicans and how it is we deal with society itself. We're trying to put a band-aid over a lot of the things, and it won't happen it might not happen in a generation, but I think we need to start somewhere and really come together as a nation in dealing with the matters that affect us right now. Otherwise, we're really, it is cause for concern. Very much cause for concern. Even as a policymaker, I'm telling you that I am very much concerned, and this is not going to take just one administration or one party or government or one set of Jamaicans to fix it. It is going to have to, many people think that we are not willing as an opposition to sit with the government, but we have been saying it. I mean, the Prime Minister uses the Vale Royal talks as just a PR tool. So when Jamaicans say, why are you not sitting? He will respond and say, well, I'm calling a meeting, and call one meeting, and then that's it. I've said that we are willing as a party to sit with them in dealing with the issue of housing.
Yes, we're going to switch to that right now, sir.
Deal with the issue of crime, because the last time we even called for a crime summit, and they had one meeting and that's it. So I make the plea again, because this is something that's affecting all of us.
I am going to switch to housing now. Last night I was in a Zoom meeting with Edgerton Newman and the president for the Port Antonio Taxis Association, President George Brown. And he said to me, Mr. Tavares, I have something to say to you. To send to me. Mr. Phillips, when Mr. Brown sent me the pictures of where a lady and her daughter is living in Port Antonio. She ran from Negril because apparently there was some gun battle in Negril where her mother got killed. Her mother is originally from Portland, and they told her that she must leave Westmoreland. She's next. She went to Portland, and she's living in a condition that it moves something within me. That in 21st century Jamaica, and I'm very emotional, you know why? How can we have our people living in this condition? How? The NHT was formed to help poor people of this country. Is NHT really helping poor people of this country, Mr. Phillips?
Well, let me say this to you. I saw the photographs myself, and that's what I'm talking about. How it is that just as a country, just culturally, just how it is that we, economically, how is it that every Jamaican can have a decent life? Put a roof over his or her head. I mean, in any country in the world, persons will have challenges. As a leader, what needs to happen is really how it is that we can target some of these groups of persons, ensure that they can live a better life in the country that we live in and that we govern. Now, if I'm to say that the NHT has delivered on its mandate, I mean, to say no would be unfair, but could it do better? The answer is yes. So if you look at the mandate of the NHT is to provide housing for a market segment, especially those in the middle income to lower income bracket. If you look at the market itself, just even by the government's own report, it says that the NHT needs to build at least 15 to 20,000 houses to be able to satisfy the market. So what that is saying, is that
we're losing Mr. Phillips. He has a call coming into his phone. We're losing him. Go ahead, sir.
I'm back. Yeah. So I said what that is saying is that we're actually not meeting the demand of the segment in the market that's the greatest demand currently is. So a way has to be found in how it is that you meet that demand. So if you look at the numbers of the NHT, those in the lower income bracket, it's only 11% of that market is being satisfied, both in the private and the public housing developments. The NHT is only 40% of those who are contributors of the NHT that actually qualify to get a benefit. So when the Prime Minister allows by policy to have the NHT developments like the Ruthven Tower, where you're coming to the market between high 20s to low 30s for a unit, then your question, the question really is what documentation, what statistics, what numbers show them that is a segment of the market that the NHT needs to survive. So a way has to be found, and all the policy documents tell you that lowering interest rate alone will not affect the market in itself, that will allow individuals in the lower income bracket to be able to access housing. So to satisfy that segment of the market, it has to be subsidized. It is what rate of subsidy will be given to that end of the market. And how it is that the government can engage private developers to partner with them in providing for that end of the market. So the short answer to your question is that with the NHT itself has not delivered fully on that mandate, but it has been a positive to those who have benefited from the National Housing Trust.
So, Mr. Phillips, what would you do if the People's National Party should return to power and you retain the Ministry of Housing and Transport? What would you do to help the poorer class of Jamaicans who hardly have anywhere to live? They're living in condition that is unbelievable. It's appalling.
Well, I would start out with, we have had projects in the past that has been successful. We have 800,000 Jamaicans living in informal settlements in Jamaica. 800,000. I think one of the ways, if you're going to use resources, is how do you make these informal communities, formalizing them, giving persons land, a title in their hand, and subsidy for those who are contributors, able to get a subsidy to improve their housing stock. I think that is one route to start with. You can start out with greenfield projects, just putting out lots at the price point that these persons can afford to. So you put in infrastructure, light, water, road, and you sell the lots to these individuals and have them build over time. Or you can even put starter units on them. right? And have them build out over time, but at least they have a roof over their head. I am not in agreement with 3 persons to a mortgage where 3 applicants can come together and pool for a mortgage. I think that's moving in the moving backwards. But you can partner with. We also made the suggestion of partnering with the private developers and seeing the government providing the land, and seeing how best we can put a subsidy to it in building out for low-income housing. That end of the market, to be fair, is not one that private developers go after because the margins on them are very low, if any at all. And anybody that goes into that business is in it to make money, not for the states to be able to benefit from it without them making a profit. So you would have to sit down. The Prime Minister himself initiated a design competition on persons coming with a design that can come in at a certain price point and to be a benefit to those who apply for an NHT loan.
But
Go ahead.
Mr. Phillips, the amount of people who I know apply for NHT loans, they have been, all right, they're working at one place from Mikael Phillips, and they have been contributing to the NHT. And when they apply, they tell them they're not qualified. I mean, I don't understand. How is it? It's the same thing with the PART program. How do we go about doing things for the poor class of Jamaicans? Right. You as a legislator, come on, we have to do something differently.
No. Hence why I said that you have to bill at a certain price point. All the data shows you that persons within the lower income bracket can't afford anything with over $3 to $4 million. If anything comes over that, you're not able to pay back the loan. Yeah? And I mean, we have to just take into consideration that as much as we're saying that there's a subsidy, and that is why I'm suggesting that you subsidize the construction of these houses to come in at a price point that these individuals can. That is a segment of the market which has the greatest demand, but it is a segment of the market that has the lowest supply. Yeah? So you have to now change focus, because the segment of the market of a $30 million house, those persons are not coming to the NHT for a loan. Right? It is the segment of the market which is lower that will go to the NHT for his $6.5 million. But because of the price point, let's look at these houses that are being built out in St. Catherine now. I mean, they're under 600 square feet, if so much. Right? And they're being sold for $7 million. That's out of the price point of the low-income earner. It's out of his price point, right? And we have the data to say what is the price point that they need to come in. And we just have to find a way in supplying a certain amount of those on an annual basis. And I'm saying one of the ways to start in providing is to put title in the hand. It is, let us start with our urban renewal. 800,000 Jamaicans living in a informal settlement in Jamaica. 800,000, a third of your population. Yeah? So let us start with that. Just as Operation Pride started in the 90s in trying to deal with that. You're giving a man a title. I mean, a lot of NHT contributors live in these informal settlements because of the fact that he can't afford a house. Yeah? So let us formalize some of these. And I'm not saying that all informal settlements can be formalized, but those that can. We've been doing so many researches. The government has so many researches that have been done in the past. Prime Minister announced that he's doing a new one on our informal settlements. Right? And we do too many damn researches and not coming up with any solutions. And it's the time now that we come up with some solutions. We have enough data to come up with solutions. So let us use the data. And
So
stop
why is
saving
it,
our mouth.
Mr. Phillips, some may argue, that the People's National Party has been in power more than the Labour Party.
Let me dispel that. If you look at Jamaica 60 and look at the amount of years that the People's National Party has been in power compared to the Jamaica Labour Party, for the 60 years, we've both been in power for 30 years each. Right? So let me dispel that. Right? So, we both have a lot to account for.
Yes.
There's no doubt. Right? We both have a lot to account for. And, it is good to look back at history, but we have an opportunity to change the future. I'm just saying that we should now stop filling our thumbs. We have enough data over the 60 years to drive us to do what is necessary. Right? The NHT should not be getting into the construction of houses in the high-end market. Should not. That is already oversupplied by the private sector. What is needed is a larger segment of housing that is not being supplied. Low to lower middle income. That's where we need to pay our attention as governments in supplying that, because those are the same persons that's going to end up in an informal community. And it is not from a lack of will that they want to move, they don't want to. Yeah? Because they want to buy a house, but they just can't qualify because of the price point. And the situation is going to even be worse now, seeing the increase in price of building material. It is even going to be worse. Building material costs have gone up significantly over the last year.
And that is why a lot of Jamaicans are saying that it doesn't make any sense to pay NHT, because when they pay NHT, they try to get a little home and they can't get any. And majority of our constituencies around Jamaica, and indeed Kingston here, a lot of people living in some things that when we all go around and campaign to get votes, we see it and we all promise that we're not do something, but we're going is a total different thing.
Yeah, that's true. And as the time come, we acknowledge it. I mean, on behalf of my own party, there was more we could have done. I mean, but we have done quite a bit while we were in government. I said you have the operation party. You yourself mentioned that the NHT was created under PMP administration. But if you look at the numbers, in the amount of housing that we have delivered as a trust, we need to do more.
I see the Prime Minister have this thing going on and building houses. You have any idea if those money are coming from the NHT? Where are the money coming from?
It's coming from central government. I'm not sure if it's the NHT, but the truth is, if we were to subsidize the NHT, the housing, we need to look at what? Look at the amount of money.
I'm losing you there, Mr. Phillips. Can you repeat what you're saying? I'm losing you. Mr. Phillips, I'm losing you, sir.
Yeah, man. No, sorry. I have a parliament to get to parliament early because we have a caucus before. So
yes,
I was on my way out, but I realized that the internet was not picking up out there. Sorry. Yeah.
All right, you repeat what you're saying, and I'll let you go. Just repeat what you're saying about the.
I was saying that if you look at the amount of monies that have been taken out of the NHT to do non-housing activities, that those funds should be going towards subsidy, towards building houses for low-income earners. Right? Instead of us taking it out to, and I'm not saying that there's not a need for us to refurbish police stations and sewage projects and all of that.
But Mr. Phillips, hold on, Mr. Phillips.
That is not the use of the NHT money.
But Mr. Phillips,
that's not what it was there put in trust for.
I had Dr. Rupert Francis, the president of the Diaspora Crime Task Force, who gave me information when he is on my program that the government has been receiving money from other governments around the world or in America billions of dollars to help with the security forces. So why are they dipping NHT money to refurbish police stations?
The amount that it will take to deal with the crime situation and deal with the police forces more than any one government can give us to. Yes.
Oh Lord. I wonder if I lost Mr. Phillips there. Hello, Mr. Phillips?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. But I'll let you go now. But can you just I'll let you go now, but can you just give me what would you do for the transport sector? What should be recommended for the transport sector now, for these taxi and bus drivers who need a little trip and halfpenny?
Well, a People's National Party administration would at best cap the tax on fuel as we have proposed. I think, as I said, the first thing that we will do is sit down at the table with the sector itself as a minister and to find out a solution, not only for the cost itself, but to make it a more efficient sector. I said each sector, the sector itself has to be treated as a business. I think we would have to look at how it is that we treat with the situation in the KMTR, treat with the situation in the KMTR with the Hackney carriages, how we treat with the situation with the JUTC, and how it is that both can survive in the system itself. For me, we have to look at how it is that we subsidize that, as we do in the KMTR with school children and the elderly, in doing something in rolling out a proper system for rural Jamaica. We have elderly and school children living in rural Jamaica too. That is not subsidized at all, right? But just a proper transport sector, one that can treat the traveling public with respect and within cost. That would be our first and foremost task once the People's National Party is elected.
Thank you, Mr. Mikael Phillips, opposition spokesperson on transport, housing and works. Thank you so much for coming on to my show, sir. Don't be a stranger.
You're welcome. You will have a new spokesperson on housing, which is Dr. Floyd Morris.
Okay.
Yes, that response to the shadows, that spokesperson responsibility has been reassigned to him. But as a member of the shadow cabinet, I'm willing to also have a conversation on housing, as I had shadowed that portfolio.
Okay, all sir. Right? Thank you so much, sir.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Mikael Phillips, opposition spokesperson on transport. He's just saying that the housing spokesperson is now Senator Floyd Morrison. We had a discussion here at one point pertaining to a taxi standing halfway tree. I spoke to Mr. Phillips pertaining to it before. And everybody keep on promising us and promising us and promising us. You know, sometimes you wonder. Anyway, let go down the road this morning. The lady in Port Antonio who need a house. I am calling on Miss Anne-Marie Vaz, who is the member of parliament for that area, that we need to do something about it. Minister Carl Samuda, in your constituency too, people has applied to your constituency office to get some relief, to get some zinc. And the secretary in your constituency office is telling them, I wrote the letter. I, Jeffrey Tavares, wrote the letter for the goodly gentleman was about 2 years ago, for him to get the little zinc. And until now, he hasn't gotten the zinc. Because the lady in the constituency office said he's not a comrade. He's not a laborite. He's a comrade. So me never know said the Jamaican dollar have green orange money. We need to stop this nonsense in this country, do you know? We need to stop it. And I'm calling on the same minister called Samuda to do something about the Social Security Office downtown Kingston, the PAD program, the Labour Office. You all can't have these poor people walking around in the sun just to get a little chip and halfpenny? Why can't you all put the tracking number on their phones? And every almighty God time the money come in, system brought down? What kind of nonsense is in this country? It seems that you all do things that is going to benefit you all. When you have these needs, when you come in with needs. When you're talking about a 2030 vision, and you have enough people living in squalor, when you have enough people running up and down just for a little money to buy a little tin mackerel in 2030, when you're talking about 2030 Jamaica. And we're having our independence coming up. The two political parties, the same thing, no better barrel, no better herring. Come on, man, we need to do something for our people. Our people put us there. The people is the one who put on inside there and do something for them, man. We can't continue like this as a people, as a nation. The crime situation is out of whack. The two political parties fail us when they come on to crime. They have failed the people of this country to come on to crime. We have to do something. We have to come together as a nation, sit down and see where we can put hands and head and brain together to solve the crime situation in Jamaica. Andrew Holness cannot do it alone. Mark Golding cannot do it alone. It is a Jamaica thing. It is a Jamaica pandemic. We need to come together and do something as a people. And the poor mayor of Spanish Town, him afraid. I only can't turn on in blue light. Him afraid. Anyway, I can behave myself now. It's time for me to come off the air, eh? I am Jeffrey Tavares saying thank you all for listening to Mek Wi Talk this morning. Until you hear my voice again on Roots and the 6.1 FM. May God bless Jamaica. And for God in heaven's sake, let us stop the killing in our country. Please. Stand by at 12:30 for the best news team on radio. Owen and Dudley Thompson in City News. I am Jeffrey Tavares, returning to the studios of Roots 96.1 FM. God bless.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the